Hi writers and readers, I'm Christy Stratus and we are closing in on NaNoWriMo. There's only a few days left, and so I wanted to talk now about how to deal with your fear of the blank page. A lot of people don't know what to do with the blank page. They look at it and they sort of freeze up. And I did read during NANOPREP, one of the NANOPREP Twitter sessions, somebody was specifically saying that it gets to like midnight, the night of NaNoWriMo when it begins, and they're all set to write, and then they say, oh, I don't know what to do, you know? So it's like a little bit too much pressure with that blank page and this whole event, trying to get a certain word count every day. So I thought I'd give you some advice on how I deal with the blank page, and there's a whole lot of different ways to deal with it, depending on what the issue is. If you're afraid of the first thing you write being really bad, like I have always been that way, and I have broken that, but it did take a while. If you're afraid of the first thing you write being bad, then there are a couple of different things I suggest. One is you can start somewhere totally different than the beginning. You really don't have to start at the beginning, even though during NaNoWriMo you're trying to write an entire novel. I'm going to be jumping around all over the place. I'm definitely one of those people. So you can start from the middle, start from an action scene, start from somewhere that is not so, this is the beginning of my book, it better be good, you know, that can be really intimidating. So that's one thing that you can do, and again, like, don't focus on it being perfect, because that's the whole point of NaNoWriMo, just write, write, write. Another way you could help with that fear is write something silly at the beginning of the page. I've done that before. Or you could like write an inspirational quote, but like write something silly that just sort of, it makes the whole thing not such a big deal, and you can sort of laugh at it and just like enjoy the fact that it's there almost, and just write whatever below. It kind of like breaks the tension for that. And the other tip that I have for that particular worry is something similar, where you just write a sentence at the beginning that you know is horrible. Just write something that you really know you're going to have to correct. Don't work so hard on that first sentence. And it can be like totally out of context. It can be something totally unrelated, or it could be related, but you're saying, I know this is no good, and I accept that this is no good, and that's okay, you know, and that really does help. That really helps me. I just like whatever, and I just type whatever, you know, comes out, and then it starts to flow after that. The second sentence maybe even is still like struggling a little bit, and then the third is better, and the fourth and the fifth are better, and that is my personal favorite way to do it, that I've been doing with pretty much all the writing I do in general, no matter what kind it is. So that's the one I recommend the most, but any of these can work for you. If you're afraid of not being sort of in the right place, you know, inspired or whatever, not in the right mindset when you're writing, when you first get started, there are a couple of different things you can do. Be careful with these. Well, actually be careful with the first one, because what I'm going to suggest is you can always change the font, at least just for this draft, so that you can get going, really feel like you're in it. I used to get that way when I was in high school and I was writing. I needed to change that font so that it would match whatever I was writing, and for some reason I really had a hard time starting anything without changing the font. But the problem with that is just be careful, because you can waste, and I have done this, you can waste an entire writing session trying to pick the right font. I'm not kidding. This has happened to me. Again, it was back in high school, but it happens to people, you know? If you're looking for something specific to get you inspired, you can spend so much time looking for that you waste whatever time you were going to dedicate to a writing session. So be careful of that, but it is something you can do to help. The other option is to change the color of the page. Sometimes if I'm writing something really dark, I want that page to be dark, just because it puts me in the mood. It puts me like really into it. I feel like even the Word document is into it, you know, so how can I not be? And that helps me, especially on my cell phone. You know, I have a couple of apps where you can change the background when you're writing, and I really like that too. That can be very useful. And the final fear I'm going to talk about is the fear of not getting far enough, or feeling like you're struggling. You know, you get like 100 words down and you feel like you've already done the 1,667, I think it is, that you have to do every day during NaNoWriMo to make your goal. And this sounds like a cheap trick, but it works. I mean, it works for your mind. So one thing that I really like to do, I had talked about in an older video, I was using a small notebook. It was about that big, and like that big. And when I was writing in that, I felt like I was really getting somewhere, and it helped me keep going, and it inspired me to move along faster, just keep writing, 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 pushing ahead. So you can do that on the computer too. You can change the font size, just change it to something bigger. It doesn't have to be enormous, but if you change it to even something like size 16 or 18-point font, you know, it's gonna feel like it's going faster. You're gonna see that page fill up, And to you, that can just feel better. It's that like optical illusion almost type of thing where your mind is sort of tricked into thinking you did so much, and then you want to keep going and you want to keep going, and it feels really good. That might help you too. I do that in those, like I said, those little notebooks. It helps me a lot. Those are my tips as to how to help with the blank page. If you have other questions about dealing with the blank page, leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to try and answer them for you. And I know a lot of other writers that might even help too. So good luck with your first day of NaNoWriMo. I'll see you on the second day on NaNoWriMo's YouTube channel. Thanks for spending time with me.